public notice or public service announcement regarding this channel and my volition. Now, as you've seen over the years, if you follow this channel, I have done Coral Blade Grotto reaction videos to a lot of things, poking fun and looking at things through the lens of correct sentence structure sometimes, and sometimes putting my own personal perception into it, and also mainly focused on folks out there who claim closure on correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, and basically picking apart what they have and showing that no, it's not correct sentence structure, and no, you do not publicly display any evidence that you have closure on this wonderful grammar technology. I have a position to do so because, number one, the continuance of the evidence of this channel, which has been on YouTube since December of 2017 and has over 1,000 videos on it, the majority of which teach elements of this grammar. I have taught literally hundreds of folks all over the earth in different countries this wonderful grammar technology. I was in contact with DAVID-WYNN Miller during the last year of his life via telephone conversations and Skype conversations and emails and text messages and things like that. I was in contact with Russell J. Gould from 2017 until I think about 2020 via email. There was never any static or anything like that between us. So I've been in this for a while, and I've been teaching this for a while. Matter of fact, in 2019, I have video evidence of this. Russell J. Gould was going on podcasts telling people, when people asked, where can we go to learn this? My name was the first name out of his mouth.
Russell, what is the best way for people to start learning about this? I mean, do you have a central website? Do you have books?
I have teachers out there that are coming along that have been learning the grammar. There's a couple of guys that are doing a real good job. For one of the guys, his name is Jason-Matthew:_Glass. He's been studying the grammar for quite a while. And what's really nice about that guy, I don't even know him, but when he makes a claim and I send him the proof that it's already been established, that guy stops and corrects. Right? Whoa, you got my honor, dude. You gonna stop and correct once you learn something? Sweet. I'm gonna make sure that that guy has people.
But that's neither here nor there. I say that simply because the folks that I audit, and most of the folks out there that are using things that look like quantum grammar but aren't, it's what I call quantum gobbledygook, or another word would be fiction babble. Most of those folks come from the construct that Russell J. Gould has created after DAVID-WYNN Miller passed away. Now, let's get this straight. Anyone who had a claim of the live life created while DAVID-WYNN Miller was still a live creature, myself being one of them, that live life claim more than likely has 3 live life claim witnesses on it, 3 or more actually. Okay? When DAVID-WYNN Miller passed away, all of a sudden, Russell changed everything. And we know that change is modification, modification is perjury. As David Wynn Miller once told me, 1 is opinion, 2 is certification. So you have David Wynn Miller and you have Russell J. Gould. He said that they certify one another. If David creates a document, he sends it to Russell so that Russell can proofread it and certify it. and vice versa. If you take one of those away, all you have left is an opinion. So I'm trying to give a little bit of background on it. Coming across these folks that are using incorrect grammar. And one of my purposes on here, part of the purpose, is to show people the pitfalls and landmines. Folks that are genuine and really want to learn this grammar. The grammar. I'm talking about the grammar, folks. I'm not talking about paying $200 or $300 for a live life claim before you even know what the hell you're doing. And you don't know anything about the grammar. I'm not talking about that. That's something totally different. I'm talking about if you really want to learn the grammar, this sacred technology, then I want you to be very careful around this individual or that individual or that individual, because they obviously show no public display of having knowledge or closure of the grammar. These are all public things that I'm sharing. And I know a lot of these people get butthurt and say, you're using my copyrighted material. No, it's in the public. Like, for example, my YouTube channel, there's over 1,000 videos on here. Do you think I give a shit if anybody uses it? Lots of people have used and done reactions and stuff to my videos or said something about it. Unfortunately, you know, that doesn't really help me because none of these people have very many viewers. They have like 20 subscribers or 26 subscribers, or they have nothing on social media, so it doesn't really help my algorithm at all. But maybe it helps theirs. I don't know. But I don't care. I don't go after anyone for copyright strikes. Why would I care about that? Do you know why? Because I'm not possessive. Because this is all, to me, this is all free source stuff. It falls under the rule of judge mechanics. If you know what you're doing, you can do it. All right? The authorization comes from the author. If you have closure on correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar, you can use the 1 by 1.9 flag. I have proven this multiple times over the years because I have used the flag on document, contract, postal vessel, court venues with no repercussions and 100% success. And I didn't need any chief or commander or chief Supreme Court judge or whatever it is to authorize it, because they are not the author of my documents. I am. And anybody saying that, oh, you're a pirate, you stole this technology. No, I didn't. Because it's quite clear that what I'm doing grammatically is way different than what anybody else out there is doing. And that's one thing that I will say. You know, I may not know how to do very many things, but one thing I do know how to do 100% is correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar. This is one thing I know in and out. And that's why I held this position for so long, with no danger. I've had so many threats, people threatening stuff and saying, if you don't do this within 24 hours, if you don't do this within 72 hours, if you don't do blah, blah, blah. What? What's going to happen? Nothing happens. Nothing ever happens. Why? Because in the domain of fact, only the facts exist. And if someone's just spewing opinions at me, well then, it's just going to fall by the wayside. The only power those things have over me is what I allow them to have. And then they'll make personal attacks, call me names, and, you know, just goofy things. But to get back to it, to reiterate, the point that I'm getting to, that I'm driving at in this video, is that due to the strong reaction that I've seen in some of the folks that I've audited, some of the folks that I've criticized. Like if somebody, let me digress again, if somebody criticizes my grammar and says, this is wrong, and it's quite plainly wrong, as I've shown in the past several times publicly, I will stop and correct with humility. I will say, wow, you're right. This is a mistake. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's fix it. And then we move on. It's not a big deal. I don't care. That's what the humility comes into it that I try to cultivate. okay? If someone criticizes me, I'm not going to send them private messages calling them everything but a child of God and saying that they're, just all sorts of terrible, horrible things. I mean, they could be considered that. I don't really, they're just words to me because I don't take anything personally because I don't know these people personally. They're basically, to me, I think they're speaking from some kind of trauma that they've perhaps received, maybe in childhood, maybe from the military, maybe something. I don't know. That's neither here nor there either because I don't know them. The point being is that what I did or am doing by criticizing their grammar is affecting them in a negative fashion, which is the opposite of what I hope for. Because sometimes, very rarely, these people from the Russell J. Gould sector of the quantum grammar domain, once in a while, they won't react that way, and they'll say, you know what? That is interesting. Why is that wrong? And then they'll turn and they'll ask one of their teachers at the Syntax Learning Center or whatever it's called this week and say, why is this and that and third? And they won't get an answer. And they might even get blocked from the Telegram group, God forbid. So, my point in this public notice is to say that I'm going to make a great effort not to criticize any of these people anymore because of the reactions, the knee-jerk reactions that they give. From my perception, they seem very unhinged, very unstable, very chaotic. I mean, I've been, in the past, I've been threatened with physical violence and all kinds of stuff. Why? Because I use correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar, I guess. But whatever, it's not my volition to have that type of an extreme response. Not at all. I never say anything real personal about these people except maybe to say that they're a Russell J. Gould cult follower. And I'm not saying that lightly because a cult follower is someone who basically buys into what we would call protagonist-centered morality, where their leader or whoever they're following can do no wrong, even if they are doing wrong. They're using incorrect grammar? Well, so what? Their mission is important, not the grammar. Well, that may be true in other areas, but in an area that's centered around grammar itself, no, that is the most important thing, correct grammar. And if your leader ain't doing it, then that means you ain't doing it either, because that's who you learned it from, or you learned it from someone who learned it from someone who learned it from him. And he learned it from DAVID-WYNN Miller, and there are thousands of mistakes all over DAVID-WYNN Miller's book. So again, my claim stands. I will not do any more criticisms or audits of these people unless it's maybe a Russell J. Gould video, because I know he's not going to get his panties in a bunch. Well, I don't know that he will or he won't, but I don't think he's the type of guy that take things personally like that, He's way too savvy, and maybe he has a sense of humor. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I almost got to know him once upon a time, but thankfully, blessings from the cosmos, it didn't. It fell through, and here I am in my position, and that's it, one more thing, P.S. People ask me, where's your flag? Well, if you had seen my correct sentence structure documents, my documents do have a flag on them. But it's not my flag. I don't claim ownership of anything. I'm a steward, okay? Because if you don't possess, if you don't own anything, nothing can be taken from you. And it's a very powerful psychological conditioned state. That's why I don't get personal about anything like that. So that's the gist of this public notice. I'm going to lay off that stuff. As much as it amuses me, I find it distasteful in my own heart that it causes such a strong reaction in certain people to have their grammar criticized. As you can see, I'm still kind of laughing about it. That criticizing someone's grammar can elicit such a reaction that they just crash out, use every profanity under the sun and threaten, making vague threats about, you have 24 hours to stop and correct. But these people never fucking say what it is to stop and correct. They never say it. There is nothing to stop and correct. I'm just pointing out that you don't use correct grammar. But I'm going to lay off the auditing of these public profiles. So apologies for anyone out there that may have been hurt by stuff that I said, and I mean that. If you were hurt by my grammar criticism, something hurt your feelings, I apologize. I do. That was not my intention. My intention was to more provoke thinking, like critical thinking of one's own grammar, because that's what I take seriously, is the grammar. That's why I concentrate on the grammar. You won't see me go into personal attacks most times. The only time I really ever engage in a modicum of that is if someone comes on my channel and my domain and engages in that behavior. I may engage back just for the fun of it, but I'm going to try really hard not to anymore. All right, folks, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed your Christmas or whatever it is you celebrate, and I hope you have a Happy New Year. Que sera, sera.